trading in the garnet and gold for the maroon and white. Luke Kromenhoek. What do we say? What are we thinking here with Luke Kromenhoek?
Kromenhoek.
Tomato, tomato, potato, potato.
No.
Let's call the whole thing.
Because I want to have whenever he's on the field, I want the call whenever he's on the field. If we can make that happen, that would be fantastic. It's funny how the transfer portal works, and what I mean by that is that it felt like State was really pushing for Jackson Arnold, and that's what they wanted, and that was going to be the guy. And obviously, he ends up going to Auburn. And they get a higher-rated prospect out of this. And at the same time, people are like, well, they missed on Jackson Arnold, though. But at the end of the day, Blake Shapen is QB1 here in Starkville, right? Unless something happens injury-wise, he's going to be QB1 going into next season. Kromenhoek feels like gives you a bridge between Shapen this year and then Kamario Taylor, whenever he's ready to take over, because that's the guy that State's going to peg as the QB of the future. This guy was a 5-star quarterback coming out of high school. He is rated, I think, as the number 3 overall quarterback in the portal right this second. I think that's by 24/7. So, all in all, this is a huge pickup for State. This is the most talent State's ever had in its quarterback room. You got Kromenhoek was a 5-star out of high school. Kamario Taylor, it looks like he's going to end up being a high school 5-star. So it's good. It's good to have this kind of talent on board, no question about it. But at the same time, you haven't done anything that's going to help you win games in 2025 with this pickup. And that's how I'm kind of looking at it. It's a good pickup. You had to have a quarterback. You got a very talented one. Now you've got to start working the portal to get the guys who are going to help you next season.
You know, you may end up being right about Kamario Taylor. Right? He may be the quarterback of the future. We saw great things from him on the high school field. People are really excited about him. But outside of DJ Lagway and what people thought of him leaving high school, coming to college, and whatever the next version of Trevor Lawrence is, who was like destined to be the number 1 overall pick when he was, a sophomore, junior in high school. It's like the projection is there. Period. Andrew Luck, same type deal. You don't have any idea what the quarterback situation is going to look like 2 years from now, much less 3 or 4 years from now. So maybe it is Blake Shapen this year. Kromenhoek, who knows? Maybe Shapen gets hurt, he steps onto the field, wins the job, and he's the starter at Mississippi State for the next 3 years. And Kamario Taylor gets frustrated, and he ends up transferring to Clemson, assuming they're still taking transfers at the time. But, man, have we ever been in a time where the future, especially of the quarterback position, was less unknown? And again, hey, Dad, you may be completely right. We may look up 2 years from now, and Kamario Taylor going into his redshirt freshman year, redshirt sophomore year, is the clear-cut starter, and he holds down that role for a couple of seasons, and he wins a Heisman Trophy. I mean, that may happen. But it's just as likely that 2 years from now, Kamario Taylor's wearing the jersey of a different team in a different state.
It's also incredibly possible that, let's say Shapen stays healthy, right? It's possible that Kromenhoek never takes a snap for Mississippi State. A meaningful one anyway.
Yes.
You just don't ever know with these guys now.
That's right. I mean, if Shapen stays healthy and you see Kamario Taylor advance, and you're like, all right, we're ready to turn the keys over to him next year. That's our 5-star guy, not the one that we went and picked up at the in the transfer portal. Kromenhoek last year played in 6 games for Florida State. He was a combined 44 of 84 for 502 yards with 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. All 3 of his touchdowns came in the game against Charleston Southern. One of 2 wins on the year for the Florida State Seminoles. Highly rated. Didn't see a lot of him this year.
He will be directly compared to Jackson Arnold, whether it's fair or not to him. People are going to look at what Arnold does at Auburn and what Van Buren does at LSU in the future. And if Kromenhoek comes to Mississippi State and is not good, then that will be.
Yeah.
But if he is good and the other two stink, then.
Yeah, and Slebby made the right decision. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and yes, compared to Jackson Arnold, but I don't know that that's as fair a comparison is comparing him to future Marty Van Buren.
I just think, if you look at it, if Kromenhoek isn't good and Van Buren goes to LSU next year, because he's not going to play this coming season, 2025, but in 2026 he takes over and he's really, really good, there's going to be like, wow, State had that guy and they should have just paid him and kept him. But, that's a story.
Agreed.
2026, right?
But will that be revisionist history if it plays out that way? I'm not sure that it will.
In a sense, it will be.
I don't know, because you saw what you had.
Yeah.
Or at least what you believed you had, and you let it go.
As we talked about yesterday, like there's some nuance there that, did Van Buren really want to stay? Or was he interested in going and seeing what other options they had?
Maybe so.
That's sort of the same thing with Kevin
We got
Coleman.
any idea what LSU's paying him?
No, I don't think it's what he was asking for at State. I just have trouble believing they gave that much to a guy who's going to be a backup for a year. I don't know. But there's also part of this, these guys are competitors. And I know with Kevin Coleman, a big part of the reason he got in the portal was he didn't see State being a contender next year. So he wanted to go find a program where he could win games. Yeah. And, that's one of the big strikes against Mississippi State right now. Yeah, they've got some money in NIL and they've got plenty of opportunity for players. But you're coming in and you're looking at a team 4-8 would be a huge step forward considering what their schedule looks like.